welcome to SoCal Surf with Dan Nappy here in Huntington Beach. And big day today on the south side. We went out and it was, I'd say about a couple of feet overhead. Pretty strong waves, kind of winter-like stormy conditions where you have a lot of waves, little different directions. The tide was on its way up from I think 6 to 7 o'clock this morning. So by the time we got there, it was already as low as it was going to get for the day. And then started to come back up again. And we first got there, the waves were probably waist to head high. And so it wasn't too bad paddling out. We went alongside the pier. And then after we got out past the breakers, we went to the south about, not very far really, only about 50 yards. Maybe even 25 at first. And there wasn't a lot of people there, but, as we sat there, just within minutes, it pretty much filled up. And there were people everywhere. And we noticed that there wasn't anybody down a little further south, except on the shore break where the high school was riding the inside break just by Tower 3. So we paddled, at least I did, I paddled south a little ways. And that's where I set up shop. And for the most part, it was the smaller waves wouldn't break. The waist highs, didn't emit a little bit of a white, and then it would kind of disappear. But the bigger ones, the ones that came in at head high, those broke pretty well. And then the bigger sets came in towards the later morning, more like 8:30, more like 8 o'clock. Some bigger sets started to roll in, and a little more chop was in the water, so it started to get pretty big. So I did a lot of paddling, trying to avoid getting hammered by the bigger sets, and then trying to catch the smaller ones, and then back and forth in too shallow, then back out too deep, and then back and forth. So a lot of paddling, and not as many waves caught because you're constantly adjusting, trying to get in the right spot. Some of the better surfers closer to the pier, where it was a little crowded, but they were pretty good. They were catching them and making them work really well. So really good day for them. I had a mediocre day. It wasn't my best day. When it gets really big, I spend too much time worrying about getting hammered and not enough time finding the right wave. So I only got a few this morning, but it was pretty good for everybody else. And so good day. Brett Simpson showed up, and he was surfing closer to the pier. And that's about it, really. It wasn't the only thing that really happened is a set caught me inside, and I started paddling out, and I made it over the first one. I should say under the first one. Just as it was breaking, I ducked under it. Pretty easy to get through. And then I looked outside, and this really probably the biggest one of the day was coming, and I didn't think I was going to make it. But I paddled for a second and thought, I'm not going to make that. So I held up, and then as it got closer, I started to paddle again, and it just broke right on top of me. And I went under, and the board came back as I was trying to hold on to it and hit me on the side of the face. And I was still able to hold on for a little bit longer, but it was so violent that it ripped the board right out of my hands and my arms. I couldn't hold on any longer. And I felt myself getting dragged by the wave, so I was caught in the tumble action there for quite a while. It kept pulling me in, and then, like I said, I lost the board, and then I paddled to get up for some air, and then the board came back and hit me again, but on the top of the head. But it weren't really hard hits. I mean, the one that hit me in the face, I felt that one, but the one that hit me in the top of the head was more of a bump than a real hit. So I got up and pulled my board back to me, and by now I'd probably moved in maybe 10, 15 yards. And so I was inside, and I didn't know if I got hit hard or not, because the water's so cold you don't feel anything. So I thought I'd better take a inventory of my faculties there. And so I felt around, didn't feel any blood or anything, so I figured everything was fine. But then a wave came after me, and so I just caught it, and took it in, and thought I'd just go on the sand and wait for a second and see what my condition was. And it was getting late, so it wasn't like, it was only like maybe 10 minutes left in our surf session anyway. So I went in, I decided to go all the way in, But as I got towards the shore break, that it's almost like a 3-break system here lately. It breaks way outside, then in the middle, and then it got a really deep section, and it breaks around the sand. So you had 3 different breaks. So after I made it past the big one and got into the second one, that's where it started to form up on the sand. So I knew I had to avoid getting smashed into the ground. So I had to watch very carefully behind me so a wave didn't come up and catch me off guard. And I just slowly worked my way in until I could feel the bottom, which was difficult because just 10 to 20 feet off the shore, it just drops off and you can't touch the bottom. So I kept kind of feeling for it, and then I finally felt my toes hit the bottom, and I was up by my neck. So I just waited for a wave to come. It took me a little bit further, and I was able to get a foothold and then walk in. And then as soon as you get, like I say, on the edge there, you step up like a stairway, 2 steps, and you're in ankle deep water. So it goes from head to shoulder high depth to 6 inches in about 5 feet. So pretty interesting shore break today. So be careful if you're going out. It's supposed to get bigger tomorrow, but it's supposed to rain as well. So pretty iffy as to what happens. So we'll see. Other than that, that's part of all the fun of surfing is getting in there and getting hammered occasionally and riding some waves and making some turns, and awesome. So till tomorrow, we'll see what happens. The shark is still there. I mean, when you're out that deep where he was a few days ago, you can't help but think about it. I mean, he's there. He's swimming around somewhere out there. And all you can do is what you can do. So thanks for listening. All is well. We'll see you tomorrow or next week, depending on the weather. Thanks for listening. Check out our sponsors, Merch Hero, nappyclothing.com, Task Bullet, and Swing Easy Hammocks. Thanks so much. Bye.